This is the Possible Care for Dogs. The podcast begins.
Welcome to a new deep dive. Today, we're really getting into it with one of the most, just beautiful and recognizable breeds out there. The Rough Collie.
Absolutely. And we've been looking closely at an article, Caring for Your Rough Collie's Health, Essential Best Practices for a Graceful and Healthy Life.
That's the one. And our goal, really, is to pull out the key stuff, the best practices from this source.
Yeah, basically to help anyone who has a rough collie or maybe is thinking about getting one understand what they need for, a long, healthy, happy life.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The article is pretty direct about common health issues. It says knowing about them is like step one.
Right. Awareness first. And there's some pretty specific genetic conditions that come up with collies. Top of the list often is collie eye anomaly, CEA.
CEA, right. I've heard of that. It's genetic, affects the eyes.
Exactly. It impacts different parts of the retina, the choroid, the sclera, so pretty fundamental eye structures.
And what does that actually mean for the dog's sight?
Well, it can vary a lot. Some dogs might have very mild cases, maybe no real vision problems. But in more severe cases, it can lead to significant vision loss, even blindness.
So what does the article say are the absolute must-dos for owners?
Screening, that's the big one. Getting puppies checked by a vet ophthalmologist, ideally before they're 8 weeks old. It's easier to spot certain things then.
Before 8 weeks, okay.
Yeah, and asking breeders, really insisting on seeing genetic test results for CEA.
And if a dog is diagnosed?
Then you work closely with a veterinary ophthalmologist for managing it. Proper care is key.
Now, there was a statistic in there that really caught my eye from the American College of Veterinary Ophthalmologists.
Oh, yeah. That one's pretty staggering. It suggests that up to 90% of rough collies in North America carry the gene for CEA.
90%, wow. That's huge.
It is. It really drives home why screening is so vital. It's not like, oh, maybe my dog has it. The odds are extremely high that the gene is there. Severity varies, but the gene, that's common.
Okay, so that's CEA. What's the next big genetic flag the article raises?
Drug sensitivity. This is linked to the MDR1 gene mutation, multi-drug resistance gene.
Right, MDR1. So what happens with that mutation?
Basically, there's a protein that's supposed to act like a pump, moving certain drugs out of the brain to protect it. In dogs with the mutation, that pump doesn't work right.
So drugs can build up to toxic levels.
Exactly. And we're not talking about obscure medications here. The article lists some really common ones.
Like what?
Things like ivermectin, which is in some heartworm meds, lobermide, Imodium. Yeah. And even certain chemotherapy drugs. Giving these to a dog with the MDR1 mutation can be incredibly dangerous, fatal even.
So the absolute number one thing to do is?
Get the DNA test, simple cheek swab usually. Find out your dog's MDR1 status early on.
And then?
Share those results with your vet. Every single time medication is discussed, before anything is prescribed or given, they need to know to choose safe alternatives if your dog has the mutation.
Is this one common too, like the CEA gene?
Yeah, very much so. The article references a PLOS1 study. I think it said around 70% of rough collies carry at least one copy of the MDR1 mutation.
70%. So again, not rare at all. Testing seems non-negotiable.
Absolutely. Takes all the guesswork out.
Okay, moving on from the specific gene stuff. Bloat. Gastric dilatation volvulus GDV. The article flags this as a major emergency.
And it is. Terrifyingly fast and life-threatening. Deep-chested broods like collies are just anatomically more at risk.
What happens? The stomach fills with gas and twists.
Pretty much. It inflates and then it can rotate, cutting off blood supply and trapping gas and food. It's a catastrophic event internally.
But there are things you can do to try and prevent it, right? The article mentions some.
Yes, definitely. Feeding smaller meals, maybe 2 or 3 times a day instead of one big one, that's key.
And exercise timing.
Crucial. Avoid heavy exercise right before or especially right after they eat. Let things settle. Give the stomach time.
And knowing the warning signs, that sounds absolutely critical.
Oh, yeah. You have to know them. A swollen, hard belly, trying to vomit, but nothing comes up, just retching. Restlessness, pacing, weakness.
If you see those.
Go immediately to the emergency vet. Don't wait. Time is everything with bloat.
Okay. One more specific condition mentioned was dermatomyositis, DM.
Right, DM. This one's different again.
Yeah.
It's a hereditary autoimmune disease. The dog's own immune system attacks its skin and sometimes muscles.
So what does that look like? What are the symptoms?
You'd typically see skin lesions first, maybe crusty spots, hair loss. often on the face, around the eyes, ears, maybe the tail tip or legs.
And it can affect muscles, too.
In some cases, yes, it can lead to muscle wasting, weakness, even lameness. Makes moving painful.
And the advice for this one, from the article.
Be watchful for those early skin problems. Ask breeders about genetic screening for DM if possible. And if a dog is diagnosed, treatment usually involves managing the immune response, often with immunosuppressive drugs.
Okay, so those are some big potential health hurdles. Understanding them is definitely key. But then the article shifts focus a bit towards the everyday things that build good health. Let's talk nutrition.
Yeah, what goes in the bowl is foundational, isn't it? It's not just about calories, but the right kind of fuel for a collie.
So a good quality food, balanced.
Exactly. Balanced for a medium to large breed, something that supports their energy but also thinks about joints, and of course that amazing coat.
What kind of ingredients did it highlight for coat and joints?
Omega fatty acids were big. Omega-3s and omega-6s, really important for skin health, keeping that coat shiny and healthy.
Makes sense.
And glucosamine too, especially as they get older, for joint support, helps cushion those joints.
What about things to avoid? Any mention of allergies?
Yeah, it touched on that. If your collie seems itchy or has stomach upset, the article suggested maybe looking at diets without common allergens like corn or wheat. Sometimes those can be triggers.
And keeping them trim. Weight management.
Oh, absolutely critical. The article really stressed this. An overweight collie has a higher risk of so many things. Bloat definitely puts more strain on joints, worsening arthritis. Keeping them lean is just huge for their overall health and longevity.
There's an interesting link back to dermatomyositis too, wasn't there? About fatty acids.
Yes. I thought that was fascinating and mentioned veterinary dermatology insights showing that supplementing with essential fatty acids can actually help reduce inflammation in dogs prone to autoimmune skin conditions like DM.
So diet can be a proactive tool, even for genetic predisposition.
Exactly. It shows how powerful nutrition can be.
All right, you can't talk collies without talking about that coat. It's stunning, but it sounds like work.
It is work, let's be honest. That double coat is magnificent, but it demands commitment. You can't slack off.
So how often are we talking, realistically, for brushing?
The article recommended brushing thoroughly at least 3 to 4 times a week, maybe even more during shedding season.
3 to 4 times, okay.
Yeah, minimum. To prevent mats from forming, bathing is less frequent, maybe every 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. You don't want to strip the natural oils too often.
And specific trouble spots for matting.
Oh, definitely. Behind the ears is a classic one, under the elbows or armpits, and the feathering on their legs. Anywhere there's friction, basically. Those spots need extra attention.
And why is all this brushing so important, beyond just looking good?
Well, the article explains that if that thick undercoat gets matted, it traps moisture right against the skin. That's a perfect recipe for bacteria, infections, painful hot spots.
Ah, okay, so it's a health issue too.
Big time. Regular brushing gets rid of dead hair, lets air circulate down to the skin, and it's also your chance to check for any lumps, bumps, ticks, or skin issues early on.
Right. So we've got health risks, nutrition, grooming, the physical side. But collies aren't just pretty faces, are they? The article talks about their activity needs. They're herding dogs, fundamentally.
That's exactly it. You have to remember that heritage. Even if they look elegant lounging on the sofa, they have this built-in need for, well, purpose, activity, structure.
How much exercise are we talking daily?
The suggestion was aiming for around 30 to 60 minutes of good, solid activity each day.
Like what kind of activity?
Brisk walks are great, of course. Fetch is usually a hit. Things that engage their brain too, like agility or even just learning tricks. They're smart.
They're known for being pretty trainable, right?
Oh, highly trainable. Very intelligent, usually eager to please. They respond really well to positive reinforcement, praise. They like to get it right.
And it's not just physical exercise. Mental stimulation is key too.
Just as important, yeah. The article really emphasized this. A bored collie can get anxious or develop problem behavior. So things like rotating their toys, puzzle feeders, teaching new commands, keeps their mind busy.
There was a study mentioned too about enrichment.
Yeah, in the journal Animals. It showed that herding breeds like collies had less anxiety and boredom issues when they got daily interactive training and enrichment games. It's not just about tiring them out physically, engaging their minds is vital for their well-being.
Okay, and all of this, the health checks, the diet, the activity, it all points towards needing a really strong relationship with your vet, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Your vet is your partner in this. Regular checkups are baseline. Annual exams, blood work.
What specific checks did the article highlight for collies?
Well, definitely those thorough eye exams, given the CEA risk. Dental checks are important for all dogs. And again, bringing up those DNA test results, CEA, MDR1, maybe DM at every visit, make sure it's in their file and top of mind.
And talking proactively, like about bloat.
Yes. Discussing preventative options like the gastropexy surgery, tacking the stomach, especially if your collie is already undergoing a procedure like a spay or neuter. It's a conversation worth having with your vet, given the risk.
And beyond the vet visits, just keeping an eye on things at home.
Constant monitoring. You know your dog best. Watch their skin, their weight, their muscle tone, especially as they age. Notice changes in energy or behavior. That information is gold for your vet.
Finally, the article really spent some time on the collies.
Well, their heart, their emotional needs.
And this is so central to the breed. They are known for being incredibly sensitive, very attuned to their people, gentle souls, really, deeply bonded protectors.
What does that sensitivity mean for the kind of home they need?
They thrive in calm, stable environments, lots of encouragement. They don't do well with harsh training methods or a lot of shouting or chaos. Positive reinforcement is definitely the way to go.
And does that sensitivity lead to any particular challenges?
Separation anxiety can be a big one. Because they bond so closely, being left alone for really long stretches can be hard on them. They genuinely want to be with their family.
Socialization was mentioned too. Yes, crucial, especially early on. While they're devoted to their family, they can be a bit reserved or wary with strangers, if not socialized properly. Lots of positive experiences with different people and situations helps build confidence.
So summing up their training style.
Patience is key, consistency, and what the article called soft leadership. They need gentle guidance, clear expectations, lots of praise. They want to understand what you want and please you. And you know that point from Frontiers in Veterinary Science really underlined this. It said, herding breeds with high empathy like collies do best with routines full of human interaction, praise, gentle guidance. It shows how their emotional well-being is completely tied into everything else.
So when you put it all together, the specific health knowledge, the grooming, the exercise, the training, that deep emotional connection, it's quite a package.
It really is. They're brilliant dogs, so sensitive, incredibly loyal. Understanding their unique needs, the genetics, the physical stuff, the emotional side, and being their advocate, giving them that patience and love, that's how you help them thrive.
They really can be the heart of the home, can't they?
No question. Absolutely.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening after all this. Thinking about a breed-specific background, like the collie's herding instincts and their sensitive nature, it's more than just managing potential issues, isn't it?
Yeah, it's deeper than that.
It's sort of like it unlocks a better understanding of the actual individual dog you share your life with. It helps you connect with their unique way of being in the world, not just as any dog, but as the wonderful, specific rough collie that they are.